most of people think about him like he's untouchable or he's unstoppable or he has enough power to beat super heavyweights. Sometimes it's funny to to hear about him, but he's a man and he had lost and draw. It means if you believe in your skills, if you are good boxer, you could make him one more lose.
Canelo, you a bitch. I'm putting it out there.
So what I do, YouTube? It's your boy King David in this thing, and I'm back at y'all again with another video. So before I get going on the video, man, y'all know what to do. Go ahead, hit the like button, and if you're new here, be sure to subscribe one time for your boy, so we can continue to grow like we need to grow on this channel. You know what I mean? Alright, so y'all see what the title of the video is. The reason y'all shouldn't be surprised Dmitry Bivol beat Canelo Alvarez. You know what I mean? Alright, so check it out, man. You know what I mean? You know, first and foremost, before we get into the meat and potatoes of the video, let's make sure we give credit what credit is due. Let's make sure we give credit to both Canelo Alvarez and Dmitry Bivol for putting on what was one hell of a goddamn show, okay? What was one entertaining fight for the fight fans, you know what I mean? Canelo Alvarez chose to go up to 175 pounds and fight Dmitry Bivol, the 175-pound champion with the WBA belt. And it made for a very entertaining fight for the fans. I think this was the kind of fight that a lot of fans wanted from Canelo Alvarez, and we got it. You know what I mean? So shouts out to both Canelo Alvarez for taking the fight and for Dmitry Bivol for not only taking the fight but completely and utterly dominating Canelo Alvarez in the way, shape, form, and fashion that he did, outboxing him, completely and utterly schooling him in a way that should have most Canelo Alvarez fanboys embarrassed. You know what I mean? If you're a Canelo fan, that's fine, but if you're a Canelo Alvarez fanboy and you thought that Canelo could go up to heavyweight and fight Usyk, you know what I mean? If you're a Canelo Alvarez fanboy and you thought that he was pound for pound #1, you know what I mean? If you're a Canelo Alvarez fanboy and you think Canelo beats everybody from 154 all the way to 200 pounds, then you should be embarrassed, humiliated, and you should go cry in the car right about now, because I'm about to fuck up your life with this whole goddamn video. You know what I mean? Nevertheless, I digress, because I'm not really here to torch you niggas. What I'm really here to do is I'm really here to talk my shit about how, as a boxing fan, there's no way you should be surprised with Canelo Alvarez taking an L on Saturday. You know what I mean? Because the fact of the matter is this, right? I'm doing this video because a lot of dudes across the highways and the byways, for some reason, were under the impression that Canelo Alvarez was going to completely dog walk Dmitry Bivol, right? So when Canelo got schooled, when Canelo got obliterated, when Canelo got handled by Dmitry Bivol, a lot of dudes were in a rage, in an uproar. Dudes couldn't believe it. It was an upset. It was the end of the world. But how? When, honestly and truly, if you're any sort of objective boxing fan, there's no way that you should be shocked. There's no way you should be surprised. There's no way that this should come as any sort of a shock. Period. You know what I mean? But you know what? We're going to go ahead and spell it out for you. Before that, though, I want to give y'all my pick, though. I want to give y'all my pick. Because my pick for this fight was actually Canelo. I actually thought that Canelo was going to win this fight via robbery, right? That was actually my official pick. I thought Canelo would win via robbery, and I turned out to be right and wrong at the same time. You know what I mean? Because I knew Dmitry Bivol was going to win the fight. But I didn't think that Dmitry Bivol would get the nod over the cash cow Canelo Alvarez, right? And I think that this fight here with Dmitry Bivol just proved that, hopefully proved to a lot of casual boxing fans, that just because somebody doesn't have a name, that just because somebody hasn't quote unquote fought nobody, that don't mean that they can't completely and utterly dominate your favorite fighter. Because let's be real, let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it a buck, right? Because a lot of you niggas like to run with the narrative of who has he fought, who has he fought, who has he fought, right? That's what a lot of you niggas always say, right? But now that we're talking about who has he fought, who the fuck has Dmitry Bivol fought? You know what I mean? Dmitry Bivol barely got 20 fights. Who the fuck has he fought? But yet and still, the man was able to completely and utterly dominate Canelo Alvarez for 12 rounds. Right? So when we talk about the who has he fought shit, I mean, I really feel like that falls by the wayside whether you're talking about whether one fighter can beat another fighter. Right? So y'all can miss King David with that bullshit, right? You know, because a lot of the things that we saw Dmitry Bivol do in the ring versus a Canelo Alvarez, use lateral movement, use footwork, use his jab, you know what I mean? Give angles, use good defense, be defensively responsible. A lot of the things that we saw Dmitry Bivol do in the ring with a Canelo Alvarez, I mean, we see a lot of fighters, Demetrius Andrade, Jamalo Charlo, David Benavidez, we see a lot of these fighters utilize the same characteristics and the same traits. Throw punches and bunches. I mean, we see these guys utilize the same characteristics. So is it far-fetched to say that these guys would beat a Canelo Alvarez? I mean, you guys really got to get off this Canelo Alvarez high horse. You guys really got to stop sipping this Canelo Alvarez Kool-Aid. You know what I mean? Really, at the end of the day, I mean, it really is bad for y'all health. I mean, Canelo got you niggas believing that he can go up 3 and 4 weight classes to go fight Usyk. I mean, what's wrong with you niggas? Nevertheless, I digress. That said, let's go ahead and dive into the meat and potatoes of the video. And the meat and potatoes of the video is pretty much letting y'all know, giving you reasons why nobody should be shocked that Canelo Alvarez lost to Dmitry Bivol, right? Okay, so point number one, why no one should be shocked, okay? And that is that Dmitry Bivol is just the overall better fighter than Canelo Alvarez, point blank, period. He's overall better in every way. Throws the better jabs, throws the better combinations. He's bigger, longer reach, stronger. Has campaigned at 175, that's his weight. You know what I mean? Overall, technically better. Better defensively. Better offensively, more punch selection, better punch placement, or more accurate punch placement, should I say. Better foot movement, which is a real important one. Unlike a lot of the guys that Canelo Alvarez has been fighting over the last few fights, Dmitry Bivol can not only use his feet, but he also has power to go behind that footwork and the boxing IQ to be able to back it up. Dmitry Bivol is the closest thing to a complete fighter that Canelo Alvarez has fought in the last 6 or 7 years. You know what I mean? So Dmitry Bivol is just the overall better fighter, point blank, period. The only way Canelo had any chance of winning this fight is if he were to knock out Dmitry Bivol like he's been doing Billy Joe Saunders, like he did Caleb Plant, like he did Avenue Durham, like he's done the last 5 and 6 opponents that he's faced. The only difference is those guys were C and D level fighters, and Dmitry Bivol is at very least a B level fighter. So you can't knock out a B level fighter the same way you've been knocking out C and D level fighters. It just don't work like that, unfortunately. But let's keep it moving. The second reason y'all shouldn't be surprised is the fact that Canelo Alvarez doesn't have any more easy touches for him to go after. If you look at Canelo Alvarez's career for the last 6 and 7 years, all you find him doing is going after light touches, going after Caleb Plants and Billy Joe Saunders's and Avenue Durham's and Callum Smith's. All these guys who are mediocre at best fighters. Okay? But now we're in a point in time where there's no more of these kinds of fighters for Canelo to fight. He's only left with killers. He's only left with guys who can fight. He's only left with guys that he'd rather not fight but is forced to fight, because if he doesn't fight them, there's no one else for him to fight. If Canelo Alvarez didn't fight Dmitry Bivol, who would he fight? Who would he fight? Demetrius Andrade? David Benavidez? Jermall Charlo? These are the only guys that are left for Canelo to fight. These are the only guys that the people want to see him fight. And Canelo knows that all of these guys have a really good chance at beating him, if not a great chance at beating him. So what would he rather do? He'd rather fight somebody that gives him a built-in excuse at losing to. Right? A built-in excuse at losing to, because he goes up to 175. He fights Dmitry Bivol. When in all actuality, nobody was asking Canelo Alvarez to move up. I mean, can we keep it a buck? Nobody was asking Canelo Alvarez to move up. So why did he move up? Why not stay at 168 pounds and campaign or domain? You got David Benavidez there. You got Jermall Charlo and Demetrius Andrade willing to move up in weight to fight you, meaning you, Canelo Alvarez, would have the advantages in those fights. At least that's how it should be perceived. You're a guy who people have been saying for years that you've been ducking Demetrius Andrade, Jermall Charlo, that you're ducking David Benavidez, and you have the opportunity to fight him, but instead you decide you want to go up to 175 in a fight that nobody really asked for, but you decided to do it because you knew that you would prefer to either lose to Dmitry Bivol than it would be for you to lose to a David Benavidez, or for you to lose to a Demetrius Andrade or Jermall Charlo. It's much easier to take a loss to a guy where people can say, oh, the weight was too much, than to lose to a guy who people have been saying you've been ducking for the last 6 and 7 years. You turn around and you lose to that guy. Well, everybody now knows you've been ducking for 6 and 7 years, and they know why. Because at the end of the day, you lost, right? And it leads us into the third and final reason that nobody should be surprised that Canelo Alvarez lost to Dmitry Bivol. That leads us to the third and final reason no one should be surprised. And the third and final reason is that every time Canelo Alvarez steps up in competition, he loses. He either loses or he gets a gift decision. You know what I mean? He either gets dominated or he gets a gift decision in a domination. The fact of the matter is this, y'all. Canelo Alvarez is, in my mind, a very average fighter. He's slightly above average in my eyes. So what that means to me is that every time he goes up against a guy that's above average or a guy that's great or good, he's gonna lose. He's gonna lose. And I know a lot of niggas are they're gonna jump on a Dmitry Bivol hype train. Dmitry Bivol's gonna be the best fighter since sliced bread because he dethroned the #1 pound for pound fighter in the world, Canelo Alvarez, right? That's what a lot of you niggas gonna think. But at the end of the day, Dmitry Bivol is probably a B-level fighter. You know what I mean? Maybe B+. Canelo's a B-, maybe C+ fighter, and Dmitry Bivol is probably a B+, B- fighter. Yes, and that means that Dmitry Bivol is better than Canelo Alvarez. Whether the fight would be at 168 or at 175, Dmitry Bivol would beat Canelo Alvarez no matter what weight division it would be at, because he's just a better, more skilled, all-around fighter than Canelo Alvarez, point blank, period. You know what I mean? You know. And I know you niggas want to cap for Canelo, but we just seen Canelo get dominated by Dmitry Bivol, and the fight wasn't even close. Although the scorecards reflected that the fight was close, the fight wasn't even close, y'all. Not even a little bit. Nevertheless, you niggas are still gonna defend Canelo Alvarez because that's what you do with your lives. You defend Canelo, you cap for Canelo all day, all night, capping for Canelo. When you niggas talk, all I hear is cap. Cause you niggas do all that capping for Canelo. You know what I mean? Even though we just seen a nigga get dominated. You niggas put Canelo Alvarez in a pound for pound #1 spot, even though he's been a guy who's been dominated already by a 36-year-old Floyd Mayweather Jr. Even though he's a guy who got 2 gift decisions from Triple G, even though he's 3 gift decisions, 2 from Triple G, 1 from Erislandy Lara, but yet and still you niggas still want to do all this capping for Canelo like he's the best thing since sliced bread. Nigga, where? How? Why? How? You know what I mean? When? How? But let's keep it moving. So to recap, nobody should be surprised that Dmitry Bivol beat Canelo Alvarez, given the fact that he's the overall better fighter, given the fact that Canelo Alvarez was backed into a corner and literally had no one else to fight but top quality guys in and or around his weight division, given the fact that Canelo Alvarez, every time he's forced to step up in competition, he struggles. He either gets a gift decision or he just completely and utterly gets dominated, like he did on Saturday night versus Bivol, like he did when he fought Floyd Mayweather Jr. You know what I mean? So you know, it is what it is. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Nobody should be surprised. Some people call it Canelo hate. I call it the truth, goddamn. But let me know what your thoughts is. Hit it up in the comment section below. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. And everybody, and I do mean everybody, be sure to hit that goddamn like button on your way out. But until next time, I'll holla at y'all. Peace.
The ongoing pound for pound debate. Canelo, took a significant step forward in what he did to Kovalev. Do you think he did pass you, or do you think no? But Lomachenko, 3 getting the